Welcome again to my channel. My name is Teacher Jaziri. In this video, we're going to talk about cubes and cube roots. From the layman's perspective, I want to define what cubes are and what cube roots are. Okay. Now, the easy way I understand cubes is that these are products of a number multiplied by itself twice. That is, you may be wondering what are cubes and what are cube roots. Now, allow me to explain. From my point of view, a cube is the product of a number multiplied by itself twice, while the cube root is that number multiplied to form a product or a cube. So let's say, as an example that you can see on the screen, the cube root of 64 is 4. And that basically means here, the cube root of 64, we get as the answer as 4. So that basically means we have 4 multiplied by 4 multiply by 4, which can also be 4 multiplied by 4, which gives you 16. And then you multiply that 16 by 4. And then that one gives you 64. So a product of a number, that's a cube, a product of a number, this is 4, if you know what is 4 by 4, and then multiply by itself. So that gives you multiplied by itself, multiply that 4 by 16, it gives you 64. So that's the easiest way. Well, a cube root is that number that multiplied then to form the product or a cube. I hope you understand. Now, normally if you get cube root, you get this kind of sign. And I just wanted to describe them, give you like their names. So for example, 4, like I said, becomes the cube root. 64 is the number which we are looking at its cube root. So that one becomes radical. It's called radical. The 3 here is the root index. And the entire diagram here is called radical symbol. So I hope you understand now what cubes and cube roots are and the basic of radical symbol. Next, let's look at the representation of cube numbers. So if you visualize cubes and cube roots by thinking of a stack of a block. So each block is the same size. That is, if you assume that each block is the same size, that means both sides are equal. And the stack itself has the same size of all sides. Next, I want us to look at the representation of cube numbers. So if visualize a cube by thinking of a stack or like a box with each block having the same size of all sides, I want you to visualize what a cube would look like. And here on the screen, you can see different blocks or cubes giving a representation of like a cube, yeah? And these are just like, in order to understand the cube very well, I wanted to give you a representation of cubes. So on the screen, you can see different types of cubes with different sides and different shapes. Now, I want to look at them differently and see what makes them different and what makes them unique. So for example, if you come here to the first cube, you realize that it has like one base, one width, and one height. And that is, so when you multiply this, like let's say this is 1 meter, and this is 1 meter, and the height is also like 1 meter. Yeah. When you multiply, you're going to look at 1 multiplied by 1, and then multiply by the height, which is 1. So if you do that, the result will give you, like that is going to be 1 cubed, and the answer is going to be 1. If we go to the next one, which is this one here, so here you have two boxes. You have 1, 2, and that is the base. And then you have the width, which is also 1, 2, and the height, which is 1, 2. So that is, if you want to get the cube of this stack here, the answer is going to be, you multiply this 2 by this 2 and the 2 up. Call 3 like 2 cubed, which gives you 8. Let's try another one. So this stack is divided into 3 parts of equal sides. So here you have 1, 2, 3. And again here you have 1, 2, 3. So this gives you 3, 3. And on your height you have 1, 2, 3. So that's also 3. So when you multiply, you're having 3 multiplied by 3. And the product of this, that is 9. You can multiply it by 3. And this one gives you 27. And let's go to the next one. So here, the stack here is again divided into 4 equal parts. So as you can see, so the height is 1, 2, 3, 4. The base is 1, 2, 3, 4. And the width is 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to get the cube of that number, you have to multiply this 4 by then this 4, and then the 4 for the height. So you will get the product of these two, which is 16. You multiply by the 4, which is the height, and that one gives you 64. And that's how you come up with this 64. And let's go to the last stack. So this one is also divided into 5 parts with all equal sides. So the height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the base, which is again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the width gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here you have 5, here you have 5, and the height you also have 5. So if you want to get the cube of this, so that means you multiply this one by this, which gives you 25, and then you multiply that by 5, which is the height, and of course that was what gives you 125, which you have here as the answer. So 5 cubed gives you 125. Apart from that, what makes a cube easier if you want to get some tricks on how to, now having learned the basic, I want to give you a trick how to master the cube chart. And when you know this cube chart, it's going to be so easy for you as a student or whoever you are who is interested in mathematics or in calculating cubes to find any cube root of any number. Okay, so the first thing you have to know as someone who is interested in when you want to do cube calculation, one thing you have to know the cubes of numbers from 1 to 9. You know why? Because in mathematics, our consonants, or what creates the word, are zero, the numbers from like the digits zero, from the digits from 0 to 9. And as long as you know that, it's going to give you it's going to give you tips on how to calculate the cube. Okay, let's start. So for example, the first thing you have to know, this is now key. Yeah, this is key. This one you have to know. Anyone who's interested in knowing the easy ways how to calculate cubes have to know this chart here. This chart here becomes very important for you when you want to do calculations. So when you want to easily do cube root, this chart here becomes very important for someone who is interested in knowing the cubes and the cube roots. And this one will be a very helpful strategy for you. So number one, you have to know that 1 cubed, I recommend that you know this offhand, okay? That 1 cubed gives you the answer of 1. That 2 cubed will give you 8. That 3 cubed will give you 27. If you master this, life is going to be easy with cubes, okay? and 4 cubed this gives you 64, and 5 cubed is 125, and 6 cubes will give you 216, and that 7 cubed will give you 343, and that 8 cubed will give you 512, and that 9 cubed will give you 129. You will see in the next level why this is necessary. I have some examples set aside, and we're going to work on those, and you will see how knowing this chart will make work easier for you when you deal with cubes. Yeah, and especially when you're looking for cube roots of numbers. So thank you so much, and let's go to the next stage. Now, you remember the previous chart that we looked at? I copied it here so that we use it for the exercises that we have. So we have it here, and it's going to help us to find the cube roots of all the numbers that we have here, okay? So let's go direct to the exercises, and let's see how important the cube chart that we just talked about is very important to find the cube roots of numbers. So let's go here to question A. So question A asks us to get the cube root of 195,112. I mean, you can choose to go a long way, or basically look at the number and use the chart here to find the answer. So one thing you want to do is look at the end, like divide this number into 2, and look at what is the number, and this number ends with what number. Like the number that you're looking for its cube root, what number does it end with? So this is again, and also look at here, what number is this number close to? So after dividing, dividing this number into 2, you got 112, and you come to our chart and say, what number ends with 2? And if you come to our chart, you will see that should be 8. So put 8 there. And then look at the number 195. We know that on the highest, so 125, it's a number that appears maybe between 5 cubed and 6 cubed. 5 cubed is 125. 6 cubed is 212, 216. Now, because 195 has not reached 216, we will remain with 5. So that means we will remain with 5. So 5 becomes our answer. So just start looking at that. Now we have the cube root of this number as 58. You can prove, you can check with your calculator, and that's going to give you a clue. So the answer, the cube root to this is 58. Let's go to B and do the same. So in B, you also, let's divide it into 2 and say what number is ending, what's the end? It ends with 3. And if you remember well, if you come here, any number the number that ends with 3 is only the one that you cube it by, like if you cube 7, so you have 7, and then you come to 103. So 103 lies between, so 103 lies between 4 cubed and 4 and 5 cubed. The thing is that 103, which lies here, 103, is not yet 125. So basically, you just put that as 4 here, and the cube root for 103, 823 is 47. Amazing, yeah? I find so too. And now let's go to this here, divide them into 2. So I take 3 numbers, especially from the left, so normal like separation, so I separate them. And I want to know from this C, what will be our cube root? So I look at number that ends with 6, and that must only be 6 here. So I say 6. And now I just want to know what square, like what cube, what number, if we cube, will give us 46. And of course, that one should lie between 3 and 4. But since, so it should be here. But since this 46 is not yet 64, so what we do, we will take the lower, which is then 3. So the cube root of this number 46,656 is 36. Let's go to what is the cube root for 704,969,000. So the same here, we are going to look at what number that ends with 9. And it's only by 9, so 9 will remain here. And what number is there? If I cube its number, if I cube it, I get 704. So that, of course, lies between here, between 512 and 729. So 704 lies there. And because it's not yet 729, so I will take the lower, which is 8. So the cube root of 704,969 is then 89. Let's try C. I just want to go through all of them so that you see how easy this is and how helpful this chart is. As long as you know that, as long as you master that in your head, you'll never have problems with getting cube roots. And I mean, it's not going to solve all your cube root problems, but it's going to be a tool that will help you so much while doing any calculation, especially if you come from schools that gives you, numbers to choose from, let's say like A, B, C, D, and the answers lies there. So this is so easy if you know these tricks, or if you master this chart, because it will save you a lot of time. You won't have to, start calculating from zero, but you will just look at a number and get an answer. So that's going to save you a lot of time as a student, as someone who is learning. So let's continue. Let's go to C. So which number ends with 7? If you come here, it's 3. So after separating this one, so you have this one remains. That one is 3. And which number is close to 389? So 7 is lower, 3, which gives you 343. But 8 cubed gives you 512, which is even higher. So what we'll take is, we'll take here 7. So 73 cubed gives you 389,017. So you get this, and you don't even have to look at numbers. You just, do it off head, okay? F is the same. You look at the end number here is 8, and you come here. Is there a number that gives you 8? Yes, that is 2. So after having that, you have 2. And you want to know, like, what number gives you 238. So again, 238 lies here, 238. And you know that it's not yet 7 to give you 343, but it is less than 216. So you take 6. So the cube root of that number is 62, or 238, 328 is 62. Let's try this. This is going to be interesting because we put it like this, and what we want to do is to find out what is the cube root of 9,261. So you come again to the end and say, okay, what is the number that ends with 1? And that one is 1. And then you look for a number that is likely to give, if you cube it, it will give you 9. So the only number closer to that is 2. It should be like it's between 2 and 3 cubed, but since 9 is not yet 27, so we'll take the lower. So this one becomes 21. So you know that 21 cubed gives you 9261, and that becomes your answer. And then H, you've got here 5,832. We want to get the cube root of this number. So you go and check what number gives you 2 at the end. And if you look here, it gives you 8. And then you look at your chart again, which number will give you 5 if you cube it. And that lies between 1 again and 2. Now 5 lies here. But because 1 is lower, we take 1. Because 5 has not yet reached 8. It's not more than 8. Otherwise, you could have given it 2. But for that, we give it that. And therefore, you know that 18 cubed will give you this answer here. Now, the last one, the last one is, you go again, check what's the number that ends with 4, and that is 4. It gives you 4. And then you check, after separating them, what number gives you 830. And you know what that is? Yeah, 830 is here. It's more than 729. But you also know that 10 cubes gives you 1,000. So that means 9 cubed, 830 lies between 9 cubed and 10 cubed. So 830. And therefore, you will take 9. It's lower. So 830, 584. This cube root to that becomes 94. So I hope this calculation, I hope this video helped you. And next time, if you are faced with calculating cubes and finding cube root, you will never have a problem anymore. And I hope this helps you solving your cubes also in your daily life. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I wish you the best. Bye.